Greetings, everyone. Pastor Cotton here, and I am thankful to join you on this all-church prayer. No doubt, we are in a season of the unknown. And with all the uncertainties, all the things that are out of our control, I believe that it's important that we focus on the things that we do have control over. And I was asking myself the question, especially after the last few days with the extended stay-at-home order going until the end of April. It's a much longer than I anticipated. So I started asking myself, okay, Les, how are you going to thrive during this season? Don't just think survival. Don't just think existing, but how are you going to grow in all areas of my life? So I took out a pen and paper and I started writing down what the win looks like during this season. The first thing is I must grow deeper in my relationship with God. I have more time than ever before to dig deep in His Word, to take advantage of this season, to get to a place in prayer, to get to a place in Him than I ever have before. You know, the easy thing to do is to get lost in distraction, to get lost in entertainment and social media. And while I'm very thankful for social media, that we can reach the church, that we can reach the world and propagate the gospel of Jesus Christ, at the same time, I know that it is a two-edged sword, and it's something that I can use to numb myself out on and to escape reality. But I've got to be diligent of how I am dividing my time during this season. And I must be intentional to dig in His Word now more than ever. In the midst of uncertainty, in the midst of everything that's going on in this world, I want to challenge you, church. Let's be a people of prayer. Let's be people of the Word. Let's look inside of ourselves and humble ourselves before God so that He would be exalted among us. I've got to fight for that connection in my home every day. That is the win for me. Now, I know that might be very difficult for some of you. You might be in the same season of life that I'm in, and you have two young kids at home, and it's hard to get a lot of things done, and it's very hard to find a quiet place. Maybe you have to get creative, waking up early in the morning or staying up later than everyone else. But I want to challenge you, fight for that time alone with Him in prayer and in His Word. The other way that we must draw closer to Him is by our praise and worship. How do you draw closer to God that is a spirit? Simply by praising and worshiping Him, because His Word says that He inhabits the praises of His people, and where His presence is, there is liberty. The same presence that we experience in our church service, we can turn our home into a sanctuary, and as we begin to lift up our hands and worship God, we can usher in His presence into our homes. And I want to challenge you, this is something that we must do during this unique season, because there are certain things that only praise and worship will unlock in our life. I've got to consciously surrender my will to His will. I've got to deny my flesh and pick up my cross and follow after Him. I've got to daily get to a place of surrender in my life to where my life is in His hands. I'm talking about defining the win during this season. I've got to lay down every weight that so easily besets me. The weights of anxiety, the weights of worry. They don't change the destination, only the journey. I must focus on what I can control. And now more than ever, I am learning to cast the rest of my cares upon Him. The other win for me is I've got to spend quality time with my family. I've got to engage in meaningful conversations, and I've got to lead them as the priest of my home. I've got to be daily doing devotions with my wife and my kids. Because how do you prosper during the season? It's to have the right perspective, that this is just a season. In a matter of no time, we'll be back to our busy selves. We've got to embrace this time that God has given us and take full advantage of it and capture as many moments as possible. I'm going outside and taking walks with my children and trying to exercise and take care of myself physically and trying to eat right during this season of isolation, because I know in order for me to thrive in all areas of my life, I must be proactive and I must define the win. And lastly, I must serve others. It's easy to go into self-preservation mode, especially in our Western culture, but we must be intentional about looking beyond ourselves to see the needs of others. It's important during this season. I can become so me-focused. I can become so introspective that I become heavy, weighted down by the burdens and the cares of this life. But every time when I zoom out, I pray for others, I focus on others, I serve others, it gets my attention off myself. And as I become the hands and feet of Jesus Christ, I feel His Spirit alive in me like never before. And it lifts me up, it strengthens me, it encourages me. And a lot of times I receive a greater blessing by serving others than they receive by me blessing them. With this extended stay-at-home order, many of you noticed on Tuesday night, we have changed up our services. We have incorporated praise and worship into our messages. I'm excited about this. As I began to watch the video Tuesday night, I just simply lifted up my hands in surrender, and tears started to flow down my face, because I will tell you that nothing replaces the power of an anointed, Spirit-filled singer and musician as they begin to praise and glorify God. So I want to challenge you, when we're watching these messages over the next month with our family members, let's turn our home into a sanctuary. Eliminate the distractions. Worship with the praise team as they begin to magnify the Lord. Engage with the preacher as he begins to bring the word. And let your spirit be lifted up and be edified and encouraged by the power of His word. I want to bring to you a few prayer requests before we close. Please pray for Charlie. This is the Howells neighbor. He is hospitalized at Carl with pneumonia, and they have asked prayer for them. Also, Angie Mitzdoffer is sick. Let's please lift her up in prayer, and also Miranda. I know that the prayers of the righteous availeth much. Take time. Make your requests known unto God. Define the win during this season. Let's not just exist. Let's not just survive, but let's thrive during this season. And we can do that as the people of God. God bless you. Love you.